Hey folks, welcome back again to the next in my series of profiles and demonstrations of some of my more ridiculous twisty puzzles. Previously we've talked about the 12 by 12 by 12 Rubik's Cube, which is obviously the larger sibling of the classic 3 by 3 Rubik's Cube, and then we talked about the 7 by 7 Teraminx, the larger cousin of the Megaminx dodecahedral puzzle. Now we're moving on to another platonic solid, the icosahedron, which does not have any predecessors or direct relatives. So we're into new territory now. This is a very impressive puzzle, and as such, they put it in this weird kind of spaceship thing, which I quite like. And you can see the signature here of the designer, Eitan Share and Eitan Star. So when you crack this open, you're greeted with quite an impressive visual here. First of all, it's a large puzzle, much bigger than the Megaminx, as you can see. Certainly much bigger than the 3 by 3. This puzzle, when you first take it out of the box, has no stickers on it. They give you the stickers and you need to do them yourself. I'm not super into that, but it does allow you to choose your own color scheme. Sadly for me, this was my first ever puzzle that I stickered myself, and I happened to choose a very complicated puzzle to sticker for my first time out. But they came out reasonably well. There's a couple of them that are looking a bit chipped. I haven't done a full scramble and solve of this, but I've done a lot of experimentation and a lot of just breaking in, and it has revealed some of the errors in my stickering. So for example, here there's a little bit of a chip missing from this one, but I don't think it's enough of a problem to really affect the solving at all. However, there are some very nice custom stickers made by Oliver's Sticker Shop based in Hungary, which I do plan to get just as backups. They're meant to be even much more durable than the factory stickers. But I have to say, these stickers, to me, look really nice. They're glossy. They feel stable. The color selection is really nice. For my color scheme, I kind of chose a gradient color scheme, so I put light colors in a progression nearby each other. I was told that this helps reduce some of the frustration of this puzzle. For reasons that I'll talk about in a minute, it's easy to make mistakes on this puzzle and cause a lot of damage to your solve. So people told me that having similar colors nearby meant that, you know, at least you knew roughly which side of the puzzle certain piece should be on if you make a mistake and needed to go back a few steps. And rather than having to constantly truck pieces around random directions to get back to where they're supposed to be, you know, it gives you a sense of direction, essentially. And with 20 faces to deal with, that certainly helps to navigate through the solve. So, much like the cube and the dodecahedrons, Eitan Star is a face-turning puzzle, but this time an icosahedron, a 20-sided polyhedron with triangular faces, all with identical dimensions. However, this puzzle is known widely as possibly the most difficult mass-produced twisty puzzle made to date. And the reason for that is that it's not just an ordinary face-turning puzzle. So when I turn the faces on a Rubik's Cube, you know, part of the reason the Rubik's Cube is difficult is because every move you make disrupts the four faces connected to that moving face, right? However, the Eitan Star is what's called a deep-cut face-turning icosahedron, and that means that the faces actually disrupt a lot more when you move them than the face turns on the Megaminx or the Rubik's Cube. So to give you an example, if I move this back to its starting position here, so let's say I'm going to turn this pink face here, so it's connected to this very light pink, white, and blue-green and green faces on this side. So we'll focus on what happens here. Now you can see there's some weird looking cuts around this puzzle, some interesting piece types, different shapes, and that's because of the way that it's cut. So when I turn that face one step, like so, you can see that I've actually taken a huge chunk out of the adjoining faces. So this face here used to be that very, very light pink color, but actually 3 out of the 4 sections of that face have been moved and changed by that single move, including the centerpiece of that face. So again, unlike the 3 by 3 or the odd layered dodecahedrons, the centerpieces on this puzzle can move around and get scrambled. So you also need to think about where the colors are supposed to be on the puzzle when it's solved. So that shows you what happens with a deeper cut around each face. It means that each move you make disrupts a large amount of other pieces. And because of that, solving this puzzle involves discovering a lot of complex sequences to move pieces around without disrupting things you've already done. And if you make a mistake, because it's a deep cut puzzle, that one mistake will seriously cost you. So if this was a wrong turning, there's now a whole load of pieces on all the adjoining faces that are now screwed up. And it may lead to knock-on effects, like now I've forgotten where my color scheme is because the centers have moved where they weren't supposed to. And so it's very easy to screw yourself up on this puzzle to the extent that you actually basically need to go back to square one. So that's why it has this fiendish reputation as the most difficult mass-produced puzzle ever made. And on top of the fact that it's deep cut and every turning is so consequential, it also has another devilish feature, which I will show you here if I can. So I need to set it up first. So let's say I've turned my blue face just a little bit, right? I haven't made a complete turn. You can see that it's not fully lined up. There's some bits overhanging here. However, I can go to this adjoining white face and turn it anyway. And what I've then done is I've taken a chunk out of that face that I had partially turned. So in other words, this puzzle can shapeshift. I can remove chunks from partially turned faces and scramble them and end up departing completely from the basic clean icosahedral shape of this puzzle. Now, my understanding is that the type of shapeshifting on Eitan Star does add to the confusion and the sort of terror factor of the scramble, but does not significantly increase the difficulty, I think partially because it's just so difficult to begin with, that the shapeshifting doesn't feel as nasty as it would on some other puzzles because you already have a lot to do. However, it is a interesting addition to the scramble. I know that some people that I've seen online, they will do scramble sometimes with shapeshifting, sometimes without, depending on what they want to get out of the puzzle. So it kind of gives you a difficulty setting in a way. Like if you add some shapeshifting, it adds another stage to the solve where you need to return the puzzle to its standard shape and then start your normal solving procedure. So I haven't, as I said, fully scrambled and solved this one yet. I'm looking forward to doing so, but I kind of bought it as a motivational tool for now. So it's something I want to build up my solving skills to the point where I'm ready to tackle something like this. And in the meantime, I do take it out quite a bit and just turn it to help break it in. I do some experiments on, finding useful sequences of moves. I've done a lot of reading about it, watching videos, and so building up the anticipation, and one day I'll scramble it and spend a day or a couple of days or weeks gradually working on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. As far as the puzzle itself, this is made by a company called MF8, and they've done a surprisingly good job with this. I have several of their puzzles now, and to be honest, the quality varies a bit. Some of them, the stickers are bad, and some of them, the turning is bad and really needs a lot of work before the puzzle can be solved comfortably. But this one is actually really good, despite it being very complicated. You can hear that it does have a lot of friction. There's a lot of type of pieces moving around, but it feels very stable. It doesn't feel like anything's going to explode out of the puzzle or anything like that. Even the shape-shifting feels fine. And once you get the faces moving, they're nice and smooth, really. And I think before I do a full solve of this, at some point I will just put some silicone lubricant in there just to smooth things out a little bit. But honestly, I would feel comfortable solving this as is. I'm not going to be solving it for speed. It's just as a challenge and to push my brain. So it doesn't need to be super fast. It just needs to be solid, stable, and reliable, and it is all of those things. In terms of cost, I bought this from zcube.com, and it cost me $44 at the time. They have very, very good prices there for these kind of puzzles. And I think the suggested retail is $99, but you can definitely get much better prices than that. And it's totally worth it for the collection, for solving, to show off to your nerdy friends. At this point, it's kind of a legendary puzzle because of its, high level of difficulty and the pretty striking visual aspect. The Eitan Star, one of my more over-the-top puzzles, in particular for its difficulty, and also just for its look and for being, a fairly unusual puzzle in that it is both a deep cut puzzle and an icosahedral one. So, highly recommended one for the collection. Definitely one on the outrageous and interesting end of the scale. So that's Eitan Star, and next time we'll be moving on from our platonic solids here and getting into new and weirder geometries. So see you then.